This is the Gettysburg Museum of History. Now, if you've been watching the channel for any amount of time, this is a place that should be very familiar to you. It's here at the Gettysburg Museum of History that we have seen some of the rarest historic artifacts. Things like Abraham Lincoln's wallet, the suit of John F. Kennedy, and the private collection of Major Dick Winters. Now, if you are a fan of Band of Brothers, the Dick Winters collection isn't the only thing at the Gettysburg Museum of History. As a matter of fact, there are more artifacts here related to Easy Company than you can possibly imagine. I have often referred to Band of Brothers and Saving Private Ryan as kind of like the gateway drug into World War II history. So many people got into World War II because of the film and because of the series Band of Brothers, which was put out by Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg. I count myself as one of them. I really kind of ramped up my interest in World War II after watching that series. Probably one of the best depictions of World War II ever made. Well, right now I am surrounded by artifacts and uniforms and medals and things from the guys who were in Easy Company. And Erik has probably one of the best collections of Easy Company uniforms and artifacts in any museum out there. And we're going to be taking a look at them in depth today.
Previous episode we went over some of the uniforms of Major Dick Winters, and in this episode I'm going to show you some other World War II uniforms that are attributed to other Easy Company Band of Brothers people. And I'm going to start with this. This is the U.S. coveralls that many of the airborne troops trained in, and they wore these. There's some really great period photos of them wearing this garment at Toccoa and on their march to Atlanta. This particular one belonged to DeWitt Lowry, and he has put his stencil on the pocket there, or above the pocket. And it was a one piece, and they wore those quite a bit in training. The interesting thing about this one is Lowry got the men in his platoon. He was in Easy Company 2nd Platoon, and he had some of the men in his platoon put their stencils on the back. And I've never seen that on any other one of these. And you see some very familiar names. If you're a Band of Brothers fan, you see Deal, who got a battlefield commission and ended up in another company, but he was actually killed in Holland. And probably the most recognizable name on here is Toy. That's Joe Toy, prominently featured in the series and the book. There's Maxwell Clark and Chuck Grant. He was the one who ended up getting shot by a drunk soldier at the end, and his life was saved, but he was shot in the head. But this is a bunch of the 2nd Platoon Easy Company guys. And there's Smith. Just a really interesting garment. And like I said, I've never seen that. You know, these guys would get stencils so they could put their name on their uniforms and some of their equipment. And to get the men in your platoon to do this, it's part of the whole Band of Brothers phenomena, I guess you would say. But a very interesting piece. Not many of these survive. I think this is the only Easy Company one that's still around.
One quick thing that I want to add here. We've mentioned before in other videos the book Hang Tough, which was co-authored by Erik Dorr and Jared Frederick. Well, the foreword to that book was written by Brad Freeman, who is the last surviving enlisted man of Easy Company. Well, as Erik already mentioned, the gentleman who had these coveralls was in 2nd Platoon, which is the same platoon that Brad Freeman was in. So he would have served with a lot of these guys. Here are a few more Easy Company uniforms. Now this one is to a guy by the name of Edward Bernat, and this is a 4-pocket dress uniform. So a lot of the guys would have had these before they got the iconic IKE jackets that are in World War II. And if we look at his ribbons, let me kind of zoom in here, we can see that Edward received a Purple Heart, and that middle one is ribbon for a Good Conduct Medal, and then the one on the right is for the campaign in technically Africa, Middle East, and Europe, but his service would have been in Europe. And there's 2 bronze battle stars, so he was in 2 major campaigns. That would be Normandy and Holland, where he was wounded. And here we see a picture of him taken in a studio in his full dress uniform. And if we go over here, if you've watched the series Band of Brothers, well, then you are familiar with Babe Heffron. So Babe Heffron was a machine gunner in 1st Squad, 2nd Platoon of Easy Company. And this is his M42 Jump Jacket. And we also have the medals of Babe Heffron here. You can see that he also received a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star. And another thing that's fascinating, this is a piece that Babe Heffron had hanging in his home. That is the what is referred to as the Nuts letter that was handed out in Bastogne. And there's a written message from Heffron there at the top that says, "This message given to me while sitting in a foxhole outside of the town of Bastogne, Belgium." So while sitting in a foxhole, freezing his tuchus off, somebody came up and delivered that piece of paper to him with a Merry Christmas message. And then here it says, a mighty cold month of December 1944, plenty of snow and fierce fighting, took quite a few prisoners. That is just cool as heck.
Another Easy Company uniform is, this is an M42 Jump Jacket, similar to the Babe Heffron one that we just looked at. But this belonged to James Mo Alley. There's a photograph of him there. It's still in really good shape, has a Screaming Eagle patch here. And these are the trousers as well. And you know, you see a lot more jackets than you do trousers. Not many of those were saved. And these are marked with his name also, Alley, and then A, and then the last 4 digits of his Army service number. And this uniform was actually purchased from Mo Alley right around the time the book Band of Brothers, or actually before the book Band of Brothers came out, by a well-known airborne collector, a friend of mine named Dudley Cohn. And he has agreed to put them in the museum. This is a complete set, you know. James Mo Alley, he was one of the original Band of Brothers, and it's a great set. It really is. After the Normandy campaign, the 101st Airborne switched their battle uniform basically from the M42 set, like we just saw with James Mo Alley, to the M43 set. And it was a new and improved version. It had a little bit stronger pockets and a little more, just an upgrade basically, because the M42 jacket tended to tear, especially at the pockets and the elbows. They were kind of a little bit thinner, and so this is what you would see 101st Airborne soldiers wearing in the Holland campaign onward till the end of the war. And this particular one happens to belong to Forrest Guth from Easy Company, and I'm not sure if he wore it in Holland or not, but definitely in Bastogne. And he has a name tape on there, which is unusual. You don't see that a lot on Easy Company 43 jackets. And he has the 101st Airborne Screaming Eagle patch in his rank at the time, which was corporal. This is the 1945 uniform of Don King, and most of the men who came home with jackets wore these Ike jackets. They were very popular. They were, Eisenhower wore them, so that's why they got the name Ike Jacket. But other units may have gotten them a little bit earlier, but Easy Company did not start getting these until sometime in 1945, probably the spring of 1945. So most of the period photos you see of Easy Company men in Aldbourne, England, or on leave in Paris, they will be wearing the 4-pocket one that we showed you earlier that we have in the other room of Barnett. But this is the actual uniform that Don King wore home, and there's an interesting story. When I got the uniform, it was stripped. There was nothing on it except for these service stripes, I believe. But the rank, the sergeant rank, the eagle patch, and all the insignia were in the pocket. And that's the way he had it. And he had always intended to put the patches back on. The reason it was stripped was when he came home, he didn't have any clothes that fit him at home, and it was the only nice jacket he had, and he had a job interview. So he had stripped that uniform to go to a job interview, and he never put the patches back on. Now, I had our restorer just tack them on lightly. I didn't want to mess with it too much, but I did use original thread. The interesting part of the story is in the pocket I found this. And this is a PX version of a sewing kit. So I think he stuck that sewing kit in the pocket and had the intention of putting the patches on, because the patches were in another pocket, and it just never happened. But when we obtained the uniform, we wanted to make it look the way it should, so we put those back together. So this is the Ike jacket of Willy Wagner, and he was a Toccoa man, and he was another Easy Company soldier. And this uniform's pretty decked out. He has all the cords, and he has the 506 distinctive unit insignia, and even has an E Company collar disc there, which is a little unusual. And you also see the oval beneath his paratrooper wings and the 2 stars for combat jumps. And a lot of the ones that you'll see from Easy Company and 101st will have it in this configuration. A lot of them put the 1st star in the parachute and the 2nd star here for Holland, so it would be Normandy, Holland, and then this one remained blank. And they did it that way because they figured eventually they would jump into Germany, and that didn't happen. Of course, the 17th Airborne got that distinction, and so a lot of them have that. It looks kind of odd being laid out that way. And of course, that's the combat infantry badge, and he has all the battle stars for the 101st on his ETO ribbon, and the invasion arrowhead, which he got for Normandy. And so this would be one of his uniform that he would have possibly worn home, and probably wore as a veteran, because he also has a World War II victory ribbon on there, which would not have come out till later. But it's a pretty complete uniform. We also have some other medals and patches from Willy Wagner, but it's a great set. It's very complete, and it got scattered at one time. One of his family members sold a bunch of the items, and they went to some different people, and we've managed to put most of it together. There's still someone else has a few items too, but there's also his dog tag. Now, of course, that would be worn inside, but I like to have it out because it has his name, and it shows that it is Willy Wagner and or William Wagner. And we have a pretty cool photo of him with winners that we'll drop in here. But yeah, nice complete Ike jacket circa 1945.
All right, well, those were some of the uniforms that were worn by the men from Easy Company of the 506th Parachute Infantry Regiment, made famous in the series Band of Brothers. Now, of course, there were thousands and thousands of other men who fought in other units, or, you know, with artillery and infantry and in Sherman tanks and things like that, that all contributed to the war effort. But the men of Easy Company are the ones who were made famous by the book and series Band of Brothers, and I think that they are good ambassadors for the World War II generation. And the more we learn about them, well, the more interest we start taking in other elements of World War II and other units and other divisions and things like that. So anyway, if you go onto the website for the Gettysburg Museum of History, you can see a lot of this stuff and learn a lot more about it. Also on their Facebook page, or you can come to Gettysburg and see it all for yourself. But amazing, amazing collection that has to be seen to be believed.